Whoever came up with the idiom "dead men tell no tales" probably had Kenya in mind, because since 1963, many tales have ended with dead men. From Chemorei to Saitoti,
there come a time.
In life, his was a career fraught with danger.
I was poisoned, and that's a fact.
And framed by promise. But on June the 10th, 2012, in just 10 minutes, that all came to a crashing end.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
It was bought in France, flown from South Africa, but crashed in the Ngong Hills. Question is, did that helicopter crash by accident, or was George Saitoti murdered along with 5 other people who became collateral damage?
10 months after the helicopter crash
and IEBC Chris Msando, these men have left us guessing what they knew that led to their death.
Remember a hero. It's a day to remember a soldier. And as the father was preaching, he said, he is a martyr and he's worth to be called a saint. So Saint Christopher, rest in peace.
Tunasema pole kwa wale ambule amepoteza maisha yake juzi, na tunasema kwa polisi wafanye haraka kumaliza upelelezi wao ndio tujue ni nini.
People are suspicious. People are speculating. How do you end speculating? How do you end speculation? With the truth. Who killed this man? Who tortured this man? Why? Those are the questions that need to be answered extremely quickly. And as long as there is lethargy in doing that,
we want to seek justice. That's all we want to see.
So we have a letter from Honorable Oda, and there's a letter as well from Chris Msando's son, and you've heard it. May justice be our shield and defender. And every day as you go about your business, may the killers not have this, and God will fight for us. Mungu atatupigania. Mungu halali. Ule Mungu mimi ninaomba, the God of Isaac and Abraham will give us justice. And I still repeat, it will take a day, a month, a week, hours. Lakini mwishowe, justice will be served on a hot plate, sahani moto. And the wrath of God will hit the murderers, and from the person who gave the order to the person who left. And this is up in heaven.
Same way detectives based at Karura headquarters were left hanging after their star witness failed to show up to record his statement about 39 billion Kenya shilling scam that had happened at DP Ruto's office. All his colleagues had presented themselves. But Mr. Kipyegon Kenei, who was on duty on the day of the scam, was nowhere to be seen on 19th February 2020. His phone was off, which was unusual, but sleuths kept hoping he'd show up. Not knowing that they drafted questions to ask him, Kenei lay dead in his bedsitter at Imara Daima after being shot with a single bullet to his head. Beside him lay a note claiming he had taken his life. A true shocker, because Mans was planning a wedding to his beautiful wife who had delivered their baby a week earlier after a pompous baby shower he had thrown for her. So how did he end up dead? This is Case Files, your hub of unsolved cases, historical crimes, legal analysis, and personal investigations. Today's case file begins. Well, here is the gist. Sergeant Kipyegon Kenei was an AP officer who was the head of security at Deputy President William Ruto's offices at the Harambee House Annex in Nairobi County. This is the second most highest office in Kenya, which means Kenei had the national responsibility of securely clearing whoever met the second most powerful man in the country then, DP Ruto. Gladly, as a young, sharp, dedicated officer, he was up to the task. A dedication that had seen him rise in the ranks through the years since his first deployment as a constable in 2010 in the dusty northern county of Wajir to a sergeant working at DP's office in 2015. Away from work, Kenei was known to his friends as Kentos or Sanzel Santana, as he called himself online. A jovial pal who barely missed wishing you happy birthday and enjoying a cold Tusker when out of work. Kenei was a good man, who was a role model in his home village of Chemasis in Nakuru for helping locals who sought his aid. He was the chairman of his age group who advocated for self-growth amongst peers, which he showed as he built his 3-bedroom house in the village for his young family, and had taken up the village leadership role proudly after it was cultivated in him as a young gentleman at Baringo High School by his teacher Patrick Wanjau, who he maintained contacts with for purpose of mentorship. This mentorship saw him uphold the highest levels of integrity at work, up until the 13th of February 2020, when he was roped into a scheme to scam foreign investors 39 million Kenya shillings in exchange of a fake gun supply tender. The mastermind of the scam was former sports CS Rashid Echesa, who had been fired for corruption and was now pretending to be the PA of the deputy president in order to convince the investors. Sadly, he had succeeded in duping them and received 13 million Kenya shillings. But now, for the final nail on the coffin, he needed to take them to the deputy president's office to meet a fake military general who could only be given access to the high office by Sergeant Kenei. From a distance, a Subaru Legacy is parked. This video footage starts by identifying a Subaru Legacy with the registration number KBY793N approaching the parking lot of the KU Town Campus facility at exactly 8:51 a.m. After moments of waiting, a few minutes later at 8:54 a.m., a heavy-built individual alleged to be General Juma leaves the KU parking area with an envelope in his hand. After another 1 minute of waiting, two smartly dressed individuals, one donned in black sunglasses, are seen to also leave the parking. However, conflicted on the direction to head to, they leave headed in different directions within a short time. Kenei welcomed the general, who had arrived early in wait for Rashid Echesa. And as they made way into the DP's office, they called Rashid Echesa to signal him that all scam systems were set. Rashid then pulled up in a Range Rover with two investors ready to eat. In they went, and after some minutes they left the office. Not knowing that sleuths had been monitoring the movement of Rashid, whereby minutes after they exited Harambee Annex, Rashid was arrested for fraud and impersonation. Considering the location of the scam, this was a huge case, and the media ran with it, trying to understand how yet another scandal had happened at DP's office after the laptop scandal, whereby an investor had lost over 150 million Kenya shillings to fraudsters who had used the office. 2 minutes to 9 a.m. at the VIP reception of Harambee Annex building, Sergeant Kenei is seen accompanying General Juma to the VIP lift section, whereby Kenei is busy on his mobile while General Juma is seen to be looking down the whole time without having a conversation with Kenei. A few seconds later, another CCTV captures the two already on the second floor of the building. Kenei is seen to be still on a call before shortly handing over the mobile phone to General as they walk away. At 9:35 a.m. outside the DP's office, a Range Rover is seen to approach the building, where instead of being searched by the security on site, the security personnel salutes before letting the Range Rover into the parking. Inside the Range Rover is the former Minister Echesa, accompanied with two foreign nationals. The Range Rover shifts its initial parking position within 2 minutes up until 9:37 a.m. After a few moments of waiting, at 9:38 a.m., a chaser and his visitors arrive at the VIP reception of the Harambee Annex. After greeting the reception security personnel, they proceed to the VIP lift. "24 minutes later, a chaser and his two visitors are seen back at the VIP lift, where they descend to the VIP reception section. 5 minutes after 10 a.m., the Range Rover is seen to leave the gate of Harambee Annex. Four minutes past 10 a.m., back in the building, Kenei is seen to approach the VIP lift on the second floor while on his mobile phone. Upon reaching the VIP reception, Sergeant Kenei is seen to leave using the side door, which after a few seconds returns with papers on his hand. Sergeant Kenei was seen heading back to the second floor of the building to where the General Juma was present. Nine minutes after 10 a.m., the two are seen to rush into the VIP lift, with General Juma having an envelope in his hand A few seconds later, the two are seen arriving at the VIP reception. Where instead of using the front door, they use the door right behind the reception desk. A few minutes later, Juma is seen entering the KU town campus parking lot to where he had parked his Subaru. Before leaving after 3 minutes, seated at the co-driver seat, just like Balotelli, they sought to know why always him. The coincidence of location of these camps was too much, throwing sleuths into action. Gladly, DP Ruto was not in the office, so the only person who could provide comprehensive account of what transpired at the office was Kenei and his fellow officers who were present. So, on 18th February 2020, the DCI summoned all officers to their headquarters to write a statement of the following day after a letter they had written to them. This was after DP Ruto office had written a letter to IG complaining about breach of security protocol. However, Kenei would not make it to the next day because as soon as he called his close pal seeking advice on how to record the statement, he was already a marked man. He was not supposed to talk. So, when he arrived home, he walked right into the hands of his killers who silenced him with a single bullet to the head as he texted his babe. Later, they staged the scene to look like a suicide by writing a note and sent money to his father and wife. While deleting all his social media accounts under the name Sanzel Santana, his data was wiped off the face of the earth, and to date, his killers remain unknown. What is known is that DP Ruto said this death was meant to scare him from vying for presidency, and while burying the sergeant, promised that justice will be served.
Wenye kumuua huyu kijana hawatapata amani mpaka wajisalimishe ama wapatikane waadhibiwe. Na mimi nawauliza wale wote wahusika, watafute kiini na sababu na kwa nini huyu Kenei aliuawa. There must be. I have said it must be found out why, who, and how was this man, how was he, aliuawa na nani? Lazima ipatikane. Lazima ipatikane. Na ningependa kusema hivi, wakati tuko na huzuni mingi ya kupotea ama kuuawa kwa huyu kijana, kuna watu wengi wananipiga vita vya kisiasa. Mimi nataka niwaambie hawa wanaonipiga vita vya kisiasa wanipige mimi, wawachane na watu wengine.
I mean, parties in Kenya and parties in other countries outside there. No, we are talking about countries like Poland, we have US, and maybe in the course of more investigations, we are going to discover more. It's a web, and this is not something which has not been, which has been happening to just, to only one, victim. There are several. I can assure you that by tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, we are going to hear another, company which fell victim to these fraudsters. We are going to name them already. We have recovered, and we are only going to go, to the victims and interview them. You know, Kenya Port Authority is one of the supposedly most lucrative government corporation which is supposed to generate money for Kenyans. And one thing we know, there have been a lot of problems as far as corruption is concerned. It's nothing like talking about the one corrupt. It's theft, pure. Stealing of public money. And we have investigated several cases, and there are those already which are in court, and there are those already we are anticipating that for the approval of the DPP to.
However, 4 years later, and with this boss being president, no justice has been served because this is Kenya. The big question is, was Kenei killed because of DP Ruto's ambition? And if so, why hasn't he arrested the perpetrators right now since he is president? That is the sad story of Sergeant Kipyegon Kenei, a Kenyan cop who was assassinated for being a witness in 39 million Kenya shillings scam at Harambee Annex.
Reporting for Case Files, I am GK.